Hey everyone, welcome to my garage, my little gym. It's kind of a mess right now, but it's always a work in progress. So we spent the past couple weeks talking about squatting, and I wanted to bring you in and show you a practical application for squatting. So I have this little setup, I got a bench here, and I'm going to show you something that causes a lot of injuries and how to do it properly. So the next evolution from squatting is a landing. So everybody wants to focus on jumping, but nobody pays any attention to landing. Landing is the important part. It's easy to go up and come down, but coming down without hurting yourself is the key. Most basketball players actually get hurt landing. That's where the number one injury comes from basketball players. So I have a bench set up so I can show you a decent size landing, but we're going to start simple, and that way you can work up and scale up as you get more comfortable. You should be fairly comfortable with your squat. If you've been working on stuff regularly, you've probably seen an improvement. If you don't have a good squat, you shouldn't start adding resistance through landing. I'm about 200 pounds, so jumping off this bench, which is probably about 18 inches high, adds my weight plus the fall plus the acceleration. So you can pretty quickly add up quite a bit of resistance on a landing. So the easiest way to start is going to be just to start on the ground. So you want your toes forward, your hips about, or your feet about hip to shoulder width apart, and that's a good starting point. You're probably going to end up in that hip to shoulder width apart anyway when you land. The thing to watch out for is when you land, you're going to have a tendency to want to land with your toes out. Try and keep your toes forward as much as possible. Now, when you land, the ball of your foot should be the first thing to contact the ground. So like this. That way your foot, your ankle, your knee, and your hip can absorb the impact. If you land flat-footed, you're running a pretty high risk of just sending all the impact straight up through your skeletal structure, which really doesn't feel good and long-term isn't good for you either. So the easiest way to get a feel for this is just start, come up on your toes, and then lower down. Come up on your toes and lower down. That's it, simple start. Okay? When you're comfortable with that, then you can add a knee and hip flexion. So up on your toes and then catch yourself. Up on your toes and then catch yourself. Okay? So as you can see, it's pretty much a squat. The only difference is you're landing ball of the foot first and then catching yourself. Okay? Now, to dissipate some of the impact and to help maintain balance, you're going to use your arms as a counterweight. So when the ball of your foot touches the ground and you start to bend at your hips and your knees, you're going to bring your hands forward. That's going to let you bring your butt back a little bit more and also help bring some of that momentum up and balance out the forces. So come up on your toes. When you drop, bend your knees and your hips and bring your arms forward. Okay? And when your heel touches, it should touch very lightly. Don't let your heel slam into the ground. Alright? Simple landing. Now, the next step from there is to just add a little tiny jump. So, little jump and land. Little jump and land. It's going to feel kind of awkward because when you're coming into land, you're going to keep your hands at your side. Most people already have their hands out here, and then you can't use them as a counterweight as well. You're not going to be able to move them to where you need to keep your balance centered. Okay? And then as you progress through this little tiny jump, you can start getting bigger and bigger. And a good indication of how well you're doing absorbing the forces is the sound you make when you land. If you hear a loud when you land, then you're not dissipating the forces well. You're not absorbing the impact. You're just plopping down on the ground. So if you're getting a whole lot of noise, take a step back and figure out what you're doing wrong. And once you figure that out, then move forward. So I'm just going to do a quick drop off of this bench here so you can see something a little bit higher and get an idea what a bigger landing is going to look like. We're just going to step off of one foot and do the landing. Okay? Pretty simple. From there, if that's too low for you, you have a good handle on the landing from that height, then you can start jumping off the bench. to get a little bit more height and start absorbing more impact. Go slow, 15 to 20 landings. If you're per set, if you're doing multiple sets, spread them out, because you actually are absorbing quite a bit of force through your legs when you do the landing. So happy landing, go try it out. If you like the video, subscribe, give me comments, share it with your friends. If you have questions, hit me up in the bottom with comments.